What is going on, baseball fans? And welcome to Baseball as Intended, episode 11. I'm your host, Yeyo, alongside my good friend, Jon. We're going to be talking about the AL East, one of the best divisions, if not the best division in all of baseball. There's some interesting things, interesting teams, interesting takes, a lot of interesting things. Interesting. Jon, how you doing today?
That's interesting. Yeah, I am interested is what I am.
Ooh, I like that.
Uh no, so opening day, I mean we're recording right now at night. Opening day is tomorrow. So I've been excited about doing the East, AL East. We're gonna do the NL East as well. Two of the best divisions, I'd say, in baseball. Right before opening day, I'm fired up.
I'm
Fired up.
not
How
gonna
could I
be
not be?
I'm not gonna be able to sleep. Like this is it's like Christmas Eve for us, right? Like, this is better than Christmas for some people. I'm probably one of those. Not hating on
Yeah,
Christmas, just loving an opening day. It should be a holiday, by the way. I feel like we have that conversation every year. Like baseball, like diehard baseball fans are always pushing for like make opening day a holiday. Like
as it
it's
should be.
America's pastime.
Right. I mean, I didn't know you hated Christmas, but
I literally just said
I
I don't hate Christmas,
well, I
but
mean,
a
yeah.
little.
No, it should be a holiday. It's inexcusable that it's not. But yeah, we said we were gonna film a little later than normal today. Normally, we're working men. Usually, we're tired around this time of the night. We're getting old. Not today. Not today. Buzzing.
I mean, we are going on all adrenaline today because we're gonna be talking about the AL East, and there's the MVP is in this division. The top prospects are in this division. A lot of good teams. A lot of good teams. So, how about we get started? Are you ready? You ready to play ball?
I'm ready, buddy.
Let's start with the New York Yankees. And their over under for this year, for 2023, is at 94 and a half. They ended up winning 99 wins last year, obviously one shy of 100. They had the AL MVP in Aaron Judge. Some people thought Ohtani should have taken it, but he did break the record. Some juice balls comments there. The reports indicated that they were trying to help him there. He got there, right? He won the MVP. And the Yankees are stacked. But 94 and a half is a very high number. It's still a high number, even though they won 99. What do you got the Yankees going over and under this number?
So when I first looked at it, to be honest with you, I thought this is a sucker bet. This is easy. Vegas knows nothing. They're going under or they're going over. And I have talked myself into the Yankees going under. I think they're going to go under that win total. Now, there's some reasons for that. So one, Aaron Judge had a historic year last year. It was incredible. I mean, I'm not a Yankee fan, but obviously what he was doing was just wild. It reminded a little bit of like the Sosa McGuire. Like I was tuning in to see, is he on track? Is he not? But he's been a great player for a long time. I don't see him having that year again. And that's not a knock on Aaron Judge by any stretch of the imagination. Just how do you do that? I mean, that'd be back-to-back absolutely historic seasons.
So
I
you're
see that.
saying that they overpaid for him?
Oh, they bought high.
Oh,
They bought really high. Now, I don't think they had a choice.
good for him. He did bet on himself, and it worked out. Good for him, right?
Worked out incredibly. Yeah. And after that year, they couldn't let him walk. I mean, okay. New York Yankee fans would have absolutely killed him. So they would have killed management. So, historic year. I don't see him doing that again. The rotation to me, when healthy, with the guys that they had, I mean, they have Garrett Cole, the top's tremendous. But then you go through the entire rotation. It looked good. They brought in Carlos Rondon, but now he's hurt. And Luzardo got hurt earlier. And that one I was like, okay,
Severino. Yeah.
Herman, no, I was going to say Herman can step in for Luzardo. I still have them as an incredible rotation. Now Severino's hurt as well. I think at the beginning of the year, they're probably going to scuffle a little bit with that. I have no doubt their rotation gets back to form at some point. But when you're trying to go over 90, 94 and a half games, everything counts. And then they're starting a rookie at shortstop who's never played in New York City. You know how it is. Things get tough. And who knows how the crowd reacts? Who knows how he reacts? I think there's some question marks. I think they're a really good team, but I think they go under.
So I am the Red Sox fan here. I don't know why you're hating the Yankees so much. Number one. Number two, you're hating on Jeter 2.0. Anthony Volpe's Jeter 2.0. We talked about this, right? Like he's the number one prospect for a couple of years in the organization, top 10 in baseball or 11th, I think it was ranked. He was electric. It was spring training, I understand, but you did mention we don't know how the New York fans would react if he starts struggling or if he's struggling. We know how they're going to react.
We do know how they were.
They're going to boo him. They're going to boo him. So the question is, we don't know how he's going to react when they react, right? So I think that's more of the question mark when it comes to Anthony Volpe. I have the Yankees going over. Yeah, I have. God,
Oh wow!
Almost,
Wait again, also.
I almost threw up in my mouth a little bit. So yes, Judge had a career year, but he's a superstar, right? I expect him to still hit 40 plus home runs, driving 100 plus in the middle of that lineup, which is stacked. Rizzo is gonna expect 30 plus home runs. They love each other. Rizzo loves playing in New York. New York loves Anthony Rizzo. Giancarlo Stanton had a little bit of a down year. Average-wise, he still hit 30 home runs.
Yep.
Like, they just hit bombs. Volpe at shortstop is an upgrade from what they had. They had IKF. Like, New York Yankee fans hate this guy, right? So, it is an upgrade. No matter what Anthony Volpe does, it's probably going to be an upgrade. They still got Glaber there. So, the lineup is very deep. I think also the rotation, obviously, you know what you're going to have with Garrett Cole. You know what you're going to have in Nestor Cortez, apparently, right? He's going to be a superstar. He is a superstar already.
For a while, yeah. It's hard to doubt any longer.
He keeps telling us to shut up, watch what I do, watch me dance in the mountain. I'm still going to dot you to death. They did lose Frankie Montas for the entire year. That's a big loss. But they brought in Rodon, like you mentioned. I expect him probably to be good. He's probably a little banged up. Spring training, it always happens. Severino, a little bit, I think, of a hammy issue. Nothing major. However, we've seen in the past New York teams or Yankees teams, when they start getting hurt, everyone gets hurt. If this is one of those years, then they're done, obviously. But that goes for every team. I just think their lineup is too deep for them to struggle. And I expect Judge, he's not going to hit 60 home runs. They're going to walk him a little bit more. But he's going to be on base a little bit more because of that. So I'll take the over. I don't think they're going to win 100 games. Like last year, they won 99. I'll see that. I think 96 wins is a realistic possibility.
And it's a really good division, right? I mean, as a whole, because
I was looking from top to bottom.
To the standings after. Yeah. But you got them right around 96, you say. Yeah, I mean, am I going to be shocked at that? Absolutely not. But I think there can be some struggles at the beginning. We'll see. Hey, I think this is the first time we've disagreed on the first team we go after.
Well, yeah, and I thought we would disagree with me going under and you going over with the Yankees. I don't know. It's just different, right? Like the bullpen is still solid. We haven't mentioned the bullpen. First year without Aroldis Chapman, and I know he's been struggling. They've been wanting him out. That's how it is in New York. Get out, you suck. But they don't have a dominated lefty out of that pen. They do have some arms, obviously. And Loaiziga, they got Clay Holmes, who had a little bit of a rough stretch at some point. But those are good arms at the end of the back end of that bullpen. You're counting on the starters to eat some innings, But I don't know. Bullpen matters, So
let me ask you a quick question on the bullpen on Chapman, because like you said, that ended very messy, right? It didn't really feel like he was going to be able to come back. Do you think they gave up on him a little early, considering, like you said, he's a lefty? The way the game's going, you need those lefty-lefty matchups sometimes late in games. He's done it for a long time. Or you think they feel good just letting him go?
I feel like they were done. Like it was kind of like time to move on. But at the same time, he was still throwing 102. So maybe it was something in the technique. It's not like his arm gave up or injuries. I mean, he was semi-hurt or whatever. But I feel like maybe they could have worked something out. But at the same time, he had domestic issues where fans were coming at the Yankees for that. Like, just let him go. We already have Domingo Germán. Get him out of here, And he's 35 years old. He is past his prime. We can't say that. But he's going to be playing in Kansas City, So that's how low he got. It's not the Yankees the only team that said no to him. There's still a lot of contenders that pass on a lefty that still throws 100 miles an hour.
Well, maybe he just really likes Kansas City.
Well, that's not the case. I mean,
okay, fair enough.
I think we can agree that he's not. That's not the case. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I think even though you have them under, Do you have them over 90 wins or
Yeah, I do. I have them
it's
like
very
right
close?
there.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, that's why I said I think if they're completely healthy, their rotation right now in April, maybe I don't know, maybe I go over. To be
Yeah.
honest, I think it's just, I mean, it's a game or two here or there. I could see it with the rookie.
Yeah.
If he starts out slow and their rotation's injured, I think they probably lose a couple of games that they would have won.
You probably have them battling that for that division championship.
Yeah,
They're going to be battling another team. So the Toronto Blue Jays, very good team. One of the teams that made the most additions and subtractions in the offseason. Toronto Blue Jays, they ended up winning 92 wins last year. Their over-under this year is 90 and a half. So Vegas has them at about 2 games, a game and a half worse than what they were last year. They added Varsho. They added guys like Brandon Belt. They added Chris Bassett, who you know well. They lost guys like T.O. in a trade, whatnot. So what do you think about the Blue Jays? Dude, is this the year they win the division? Because if you have them going over, that means you probably have them winning the division. What do you got?
it's just gonna make me pick it right now.
No, not right now. Just we'll dive in a little bit later.
It's gonna
But
give it away. I do have the Blue Jays going over. I think when you make a lot of moves like the Blue Jays did, it's hard to say always definitely that you got better. And maybe people agree, maybe they disagree. I think the Blue Jays got better. I think they were a very good team and they got better. They kept kind of their core. Obviously, I mean, they weren't going to get rid of them, but they got Guerrero, they got Bichette, the 2 young guys that are absolutely killing it. Matt Chapman, low average, still productive. I mean, Springer, we've talked about Springer. He just kind of keeps doing what he does. Their offense is really not anything that they were looking to improve all that much, I feel like. But I love what they did with the additions. They went and got Chris Bassett to lengthen that rotation right behind Manoah. Varsho, Kiermaier, I wasn't necessarily thrilled with the Kiermaier addition, but at the same time, center field was weak this year. When you were looking to add, in this offseason, when you were looking to add center fielders, there wasn't too much. We saw the contract Nimmo got. Some people said it's a really good contract. Some people say, it might have been a little bit too much. I don't think there was too much left after that. I think they're a team with World Series aspirations, obviously in a tough division. I mean, it's not, a guarantee to even win the division, but their goals are very, very lofty. And I think they did kind of what they needed to do. If I'm a Blue Jays fan, I'm pretty happy. Like I said, it was a busy off season. It's easy to lose those. It's easy to miss out on guys. I think they did a good job. I think they go over.
yeah, and I think they played a lot of good baseball last year, right? Bo Bichette had a little bit of a career year. Vladdy had a little bit of a down year, but a down year for Vladdy is what, 275 with 35 home runs. I don't even know how many home runs he hit. He hit 32, right? So they're just studs, and they're studs. They have studs at every single position. Dalton Varsho has flexibility, defensively a stud, good with the bat. You got to expect Bo Bichette and Vladdy to be there carrying that offense as well. Pitching wise, I love their depth. So, and I think that's the reason why I'm going over. I think they signed Jose Berrios to a long-term deal, and he disappointed. Like, it was terrible. He had a very bad year. I don't think he can be worse than what he was this past year. If he is, then they're stuck with a very bad contract in that rotation. But Berrios is going to be like your number 4, number 5 guy. You have Manoah and Gossman at the top. You brought in Chris Bassett, probably your number 3, Berrios at number 4, Kikuchi at number 5. That's a very deep rotation, like if you really think about it. And on top of that, they got one of the best closers in baseball in Romano there. They got Swanson in that T.O. trade. So they let go of Teoscar Hernandez, very good bat for them for a few years. They brought in Kiermaier basically to replace him with defense. And they brought in they strengthened the bullpen, which was not necessarily a weakness, but something that every team would like to improve on. That's why I have them going over. And I do have the Yankees going over, but it's going to be a battle. As a Red Sox fan, I hate that the Red Sox may not be in that battle at the top of the division, but it's going to be a fun battle, Yankees, Blue Jays. I can see them just throwing haymakers all year long.
Yeah, and you make some good points. So what do teams that are really good and want to be great do? They do stuff like that, right? They shore up the bullpen because that's what wins you big games. That's down the stretch and into the playoffs. That's what you need. And they did that. I like it. They're very balanced as well. We talked about the the studs that they have in the lineup, and then we went right to the rotation and said it's really good, you can make the case that the offense can carry them or the pitching can carry them. That's a really good spot to be in. Really good spot to be in. I'm very high on the Blue Jays.
It really,
to be honest
yeah,
with you.
it really feels like they don't have any weaknesses, and I think that's what you want. Like you say, it's almost championship or bust, and you don't say that a lot from teams that haven't been there every year.
Right.
You say more for the Dodgers that are there every year, the Yankees, the top spenders, right?
Yep.
But the Blue Jays, it's their time. You know, they already won 90 plus last year. They make the playoffs. We know how electric it gets over there, even though they got a little bit of a surprise kick in the face by Seattle. But they already experienced that, and I think a young team like that, it's only gonna get better from that. Again, I think they're very good. I think every Blue Jay fan should be happy with what they have going in. They're healthy, they're inspired, and they're gonna be good not only this year, but it feels like for a long time too.
Yeah, this is the definition of on paper. If you're a fan, you got to be excited.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows how it plays out? Opening day is tomorrow. We've seen these things, but the front office, the team, they've done everything to put themselves in that position, and they have convinced you and I, it seems, because we sound very high on the Blue Jays. Yeah.
We are in. We're big Blue Jay fans this year, but they're just going to be one of those teams that are going to be fun to watch, and we love fun baseball, good baseball, because that's how baseball was intended.
Wow. Nailed it, buddy.
That was awesome. And if you like that, like the video, subscribe to YouTube, follow on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening or watching. Support us anyway. You got all the social medias baseball intended as it was intended. So that will do it for the Blue Jays. I think it's time to move to one of the most interesting teams every single year, and that is the Tampa Bay Rays. And the Tampa Bay Rays just keep doing it every year in and year out. They win around 90 wins or 90 games, and they just keep doing it. And a lot of people don't know how. Last year, Tampa won 86 games. Their over-under this year is 89.5. So Vegas has them as a 3-game improvement there, win-wise. What do you got with Tampa? It's Tampa. I don't know what else. It does. We were talking about the Blue Jays, how on paper they're so good and everything, and this is what you're excited. Tampa is not necessarily the team on paper that you're like, wow, they're so good, but they are.
So I don't know how Tampa. I mean, they won 86 last year. Their over/under is 89.5 this year. I see no way that happens, to be honest with you. I see no way. With that being said, I fully expect to be wrong. I mean, I'm taking the under here because I'm looking, and they really did not add much. They went out and got Zach Eflin. They gave him a pretty big contract,
for their standards.
For their 3 years, $40 million. But Kiermaier's gone. G-Man Choi, fan favorites, gone. Zunino, Kluber, all these guys are gone, and you're left when you talk about the lineup. We have the taste of Randy Arozarena still from the World Baseball Classic, but he's a very good player. He's not always playing lights out at that level from what we've seen so far. Again, not a knock on him. He's very good, but he's not usually that high. Wander Franco, Yandy Diaz, these guys, are they going to get your team to 90 wins? I don't see that happening. Now, their rotation is good. They got McClanahan, Glass now, but he doesn't stay healthy. Eflin, obviously, they went ahead and signed them, like we said. I don't see, and I looked at it and I wondered what I was missing. I don't see them getting close to that over, to be honest with you. To me, they look around like a 500 baseball team, and like I said, I fully expect them to prove me wrong. But I go under, and I feel comfortable with it until
they go over.
These guys with people we've never heard of, and they're terrific.
And I think that's the thing with Tampa. And, you mentioned the offense. That's not how they win games. Yeah, they have guys that get on base and they score 3 runs and they win 3-2 because of the pitching. And if you look at their bullpen, the projected bullpen, they only have one guy with a ERA over 40 that or over 4 from last year.
4, yeah.
So they have arms. They keep finding these guys that just spin the ball more than the others. Very Houston Astros-like, but Houston might spend a little bit more than them. They really don't spend at all. But they got good pitching. Obviously, Tyler Grass now is somebody that's almost made of glass. You cannot count on him. But they got Shane McClanahan, who was a Cy Young candidate, and they just had arms for days, and that's how they're gonna win. I'm taking under. After saying all that, I'm still taking under. And I also feel very confident. There's no way they win 90 games. I have them closer to like 83, 84. Like, again, I'm in the same boat as you. Like, I am taking under. I feel good about my under pick. If they win 93, I will be like, yep, they're just, that's how they do. That's what they do. That's how they do it. I don't know how they do it, but they do it every year. And it's just, quite frankly, I'm tired of it. And it has to stop.
It has to end, and it has to end now.
The problem is that it affects my team. Like Boston, they don't have a terrible team, and we'll get to them just in a second. But Tampa just keeps winning baseball games.
They're a playoff team.
Every year.
They're in the playoffs, Yeyo.
Every year. It bothers me.
No, don't let it bother you.
It bothers me because
then for the good people of Tampa.
All 10 of them? Okay, sorry, Tampa fans. I'm very upset. I'm very upset. But it's like you got teams like Boston. It's like, okay, they're doing something in Tampa. Let's go ahead and get some of their nerds, right? And bring them over. And it doesn't work.
It's not gonna work.
The air is not the same. It's just different. The food, I don't know what's going on in Tampa. They just keep winning games. Good for them. Good for them.
Well, they take these guys and they tell them, hey, you can spend money now. You have a budget, and they don't know what to do. It's like, we're not used to
They're
it.
like, whoa, I can sign Judge? I could say, bad example. But, maybe it's like, I'm not used to this. So I don't have to look at on-base percentage all the time now. Okay. Maybe.
It'll be interesting because it feels like, at least we agree on this, this feels like the year that they will not keep doing what they do. So if they do it again this year, I don't know. I'm gonna have to go and see what's going on down there.
It feels like this is a year because the division is so good and so deep, right? Again, if they do it this year again, then I'm never taking under. I'm never taking the under. I'll go over every single year. And again, over under is tough to pick, and there's a reason for it. 89 seems way too high, so we're both going unders. There we go.
Very quickly before we switch. So the Rays were projected to get 3.5 games better this year, and the Blue Jays were projected to get a little bit worse. Do you understand it, or
maybe? So Vegas knows more than everybody, right? Maybe they saw the trades and additions that the Toronto Blue Jays made, and we're like, that doesn't make them better. And then Tampa, they don't care what they do. They're like, well, whatever. They let go of the old guys. Number. Yeah, they got other guys coming up. It feels like they just pick a name out of the hat. And the Tampa Bays have been doing the Tampa Bay Rays have been doing this for so long that it gets to the point where you see a trade, you're like, oh, they did it again. What do they know that we don't know or that the other team doesn't know? Like, if I'm a general manager, I'm not making a trade with Tampa. I'm like, if you're interested in one of my guys, there's a reason for it. I just got to find out what that reason is.
You're not going to make me look bad by turning this guy into an absolute stud.
Exactly. So, under for Tampa Bay. Good luck.
Under.
I know you guys are going to go over. So, yeah. Anyways. Moving over to probably the toughest pick of the division, in my opinion, the Boston Red Sox. And why is it the toughest pick to go over-under? Because they won 78 games last year, and their over-unders at 78.5. Vegas was like, they're just as okay of a team as last year. They made some big names additions. They also lost some big names. Sad face. Insert sad face. What do you got for Boston? Over under.
So I really struggle with this one because I don't necessarily think that Boston's a very good team this year, to be honest with you. I'm sorry. But I don't think they're a terrible team. I think they're right around this number. I have to go under. They re-signed Devers, which was great. I don't know how you feel. I don't know that takes the sting away from Bogart's leaving. Now, I don't know that there was anything that they can do. I'm not really blaming them. But that's an addition and subtraction there that doesn't really, cancel out. They got Yoshida, very excited. I mean, especially after the WBC when you realize everybody playing in Japan is just an absolute superstar. And he looked really, really good. So that's exciting. I think they have, like always, some talent. Justin Turner came in. I fully expect him to be a very good bat. Not a world beater, but a very good bat. Their rotation is good, but it's not great. It's got some veterans on there: Corey Kluber, Nick Pivetta, Chris Sale. When he's out there, he's
What?
been good.
How much does he have left in the tank? That's the question with him, right?
He's been good, but now it's been a long time since we've seen him out there for an extended period of time. So there's when I look at it, they seem to be about a 500 team with some question marks. And because of the question marks, that puts them a little bit under the 500 for me. So I take the under. I don't know what direction the Red Sox are heading in, to be honest with you. I want you to tell me kind of how you think they're heading, if they're doing the right things or not, because I think the Red Sox are in a very weird spot right now, and their GM has taken some flack for some of the moves he's made and hasn't made. And what do you think about what's going on over there in Boston?
I think they are in a weird spot, but they lost Sander Bogarts, but we knew that Sander, or I feel like I knew he was leaving as soon as they signed Trevor Story last year. They had to pick between Devers and Bogarts. I think the right move was made when it comes to who are you going to sign, especially because you just signed Devers. Offensively, you're going to miss Bogarts. Bogarts a homegrown talent.
Right.
He's been there for, since he was like 17. You're going to miss him. You lost J.D. Martinez, a veteran presence in the clubhouse, but you replace him with Justin Turner. It feels kind of like an even trade, literally from team to team. Justin Turner and Kike Hernandez are literally boyfriends and boyfriends, and they love each other. So they're going to have a good chemistry there. I think that's going to help the team. I do think Yoshida is a superstar in the making. I expect him to win the Rookie of the Year. Super unbiased. I'm not even kidding. The question marks with him is like, and he hit power. I just saw him 2 days ago hit one over the 420 triangle in the spring training field.
Just hooked it.
He literally
in the WBC.
The WBC too. Like he just hits the baseball very hard. So offensively, they're a lot of lefties. Story being hurt kind of sucks. Puts them a little bit behind. He's gonna be miss a few months, right? They're expecting, I think, somewhere around the All-Star break. So that's a big loss, but it's not like he was great last year, right? So you expected him to be a little bit better this year. The question mark is always going to be pitching, and I like the fact that they added some arms to the pen. Whether those arms are good or not, they needed to add something because they had nothing. So they added bodies. Added Kenley Jansen, who saved a lot of games, but saves, ERA-wise 3.5-ish. It's not great. Kenley obviously passes Brian. Chris Martin, another veteran guy. So they added arms. It's going to come down to pitching. I think Tanner Houck has a lot of potential. And as a starter, he can be very good. But the key is always going to be Chris Sale. If Chris Sale goes out, and obviously he's probably going to be in a pitch count, inning count because he hasn't pitched in like 3 years. But if he gives you 150 innings, you got to be very happy with that because he still, like, Chris Sale was a stud and it was amazing. And not because he threw 98 necessarily. I feel like he knows how to pitch on top of what I don't expect him to be throwing 98, 99. So I don't know. I'm going over because I think they're a little bit better maybe. I don't know. I feel like a lot of things, and we've said this for other teams, it's like a lot of things went south for them last year. It felt that way. Anyways, they got off to a very rough start. So, maybe they start a little bit better this year. I think the division schedule is going to help them, right? You're not going to go against the Yankees as much, against Toronto as much, against the Tampa Bay Rays as much. So I think that's going to end up benefiting them. And I expect them to be maybe right at 500.
Yeah, so, I guess I'm right there with you. I wanted to say I do like the Kenley signing for you guys, to be honest with you. I saw a lot of him watching Mets games last year when he would come in to close. I'm not going to say he felt like the old Kenley, but it felt like the closer was coming in. It felt like it was a decent closer coming in. And I don't know if we mentioned it either, but Verdugo, you guys still have Verdugo in the lineup. I think he's solid. He's another guy. So you're saying they're a 500 team? He's someone that gets you around 500. I think they fall a little short, obviously, but they're not a bad team. They look worse because of the division that they're in, I think. Look at all the teams we've gone over and the players and the lineups and rotations we've mentioned. And you get to the Red Sox, they're right around that 78, 81 win mark, and it's like, eh.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about the keys for them, Chris Sale is the key in pitching. And I think they got literally nothing out of first base last year in Bobby Dalbec, and they're bringing up Tristan Casas, which was their number one prospect. Basically, and they're gonna need him to come in and produce. And he's a big body that can hit a lot of home runs or hits the ball very far. So if you get something out of that, Bobby Dalbec is still going to be there. He's going to play some third here and there to give Devers a day off, DH for first. So he still has versatility. But again, it's a young guy that can hit bombs, and Dalbec didn't do that. So it's up to Tristan Casas to do it now.
Next man up. And Yeyo, you can go over because it's the night before opening day, and everything is possible. Hope is at the all-time high right now.
Yeah, I mean, when your team is 0-0, you feel great, right? And I didn't even mention Brian Mata, which is Pedro Martinez's little prospect Dominican pitcher, who's everyone's saying how much of a stud he's gonna be. So I'm just gonna leave it out there. Just he touched the major leagues last year already. I expect him to be a stud soon. Hopefully this year, anyways.
Love it.
We need him this year. Last but not least, the Baltimore Orioles. And the Baltimore Orioles had a very good year last year. They won 83 games, and they're over-under this year. It feels like the old Orioles. Vegas thinks like, they're back to the Orioles. 76.5. What do you think about the Orioles? Not much done in the offseason, but what do you got?
Not much done in the offseason, but I don't feel as though – they were a good team last year, right? So not much done in the offseason. How does that translate to the over-under being 76.5? I'm going over on that, and I feel, again, we kind of say when we feel tight about it and when we feel confident. I feel really, really good. I think they started to come into their own a little bit. Every prospect that they have, like Adley Rutschman came up, and you heard he was the next big thing. And you watch him play catcher, and you watch him taking his at-bats, and he's already a professional hitter, and you're like, yeah, that's going to pan out. Anthony Santander had a huge year. If he raises that average a little bit, he's a power hitter with average. If he could just get from 240, somewhere around 260, but he doesn't necessarily have to. He's a big bat in there already. Gunnar Henderson, Cedric Mullins has been, terrific, for a little while now. Not a world beater, but again, very solid. I think they have a young core that's just going to keep getting better and better. And it feels like this over-under just assumes that they're going to take a step back. And I don't see that at all, to be completely honest with you. I don't know if I'm missing something. It has happened before where I miss things. But I think Baltimore is an exciting kind of team on the rise. They lost Odor, Aguilar, Chirinos, some guys that I don't really feel
easy to replace.
Going to cost them any wins.
It feels kind of easy to replace those things, right? It's one of those things where it's
I know. Yeah, you look at it, Chirinos is a catcher, right? They got James McCann to back up Adley Rutschman. That doesn't do anything for me. I don't – it feels like those were a lot of their moves. I feel very good about their over, and I like the team, to be completely honest with you. I haven't touched too much on the pitching. But, again, nothing really – no moves, no reason for them to go down. I think, if anything, the players continue to develop and they get better.
And before I get started with Baltimore, I am hurt by the fact that you have Boston finishing last in the division, because they finished last. I don't know if this will be the first time they go back-to-back last place since God knows when. But you pick under for Boston and over for Baltimore. I'm guessing you have Boston finishing last. I don't want to talk about this right now.
I think you have Boston finishing last.
I picked Boston to go over, okay?
I still think you have.
But I have Baltimore going over. Same thing, right? Like, they're only going to get better. Adley Rutschman, he missed the first, month or so of he got called up after a month or so of baseball. He's only going to get better. Cedric Mullins is still there. Gunnar Henderson, top prospect. He's got to be an improvement for what they had last year. They have Grayson Rodriguez, which I guess at some point they're expecting him to call him up. Top prospect pitcher. They got to be better. You got to think, I think Anthony Santander is going to be a stud. I watched him in the World Baseball Classic with Venezuela, and he hit a ball very far against my team.
Yeah.
And he looked different. He looked like he lost 20 pounds, and he just looks ripped. So I like the team a lot. I think they're very solid. Now, I don't expect them necessarily to win 83, 85 games. That might be a little soon. Gunnar Henderson is a prospect, but we got to wait and see, kind of like we've seen this before with prospect. Not every prospect hits, right? So I don't know. I think Ali Rushman is a stud. He's only going to get better offensively, you would think. But yeah, I don't know. I have them finishing last in the division. Okay.
I think it's interesting. Like you said, I only think they're going to get better, you said, right? And I kind of said the same thing. But this number, they don't even have to get better. They can even get a little worse, and they're still not, under this number that Vegas put. So I love Baltimore.
You love Baltimore?
Great uniforms, great hats. Love Baltimore.
Love the orange. Love the orange. And their fans they've been waiting to have a good team. And now that they have Adley there, they feel like it's happening. It's happening soon, right? Like they can smell it. They got Gunnar coming up. They just drafted Matt Holliday's son, who's probably going to be up in the next 2-3 years. So they have a bright future ahead. Is it a year or too early? We're about to find out. But they showed us last year that they seem ready. So
they're capable of something. Yeah, absolutely.
And Baltimore is in large part is why we think this might be the best division in baseball. Like, we talk about the NL East, which we're going to be talking about in the next episode, but the NL East has Washington, right? There's no Washington in this division. I think top to bottom, this is probably the best division, right?
Well, I don't have Baltimore as my last place team, so I can't really comment to that. But
okay.
But
you have a team worse than Washington?
No, I do not.
Thank you.
do not. Yeah, you there's however you slice it, there's 3 really good teams, and then the other 2 teams we think are close to 500 teams, right? Which is crazy. And who knows how those schedules play out? Like you said, lack of interdivision games. You can get a lot of teams at that 500, maybe over 500. It'd be very, very interesting, but the division is absolutely stacked. 3 teams came out of it to the playoffs last year, and I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility this year.
And that was going to be my question to wrap it up. Do you have 3 teams making it to the playoffs out of the AL East? And if so, which teams are those?
I don't.
You don't? You have 2?
I think it's only 2. You have 3?
I think it's only 2.
If you have 3, you're putting faith in
Boston too much. No,
I was gonna say you took the under on Tampa Bay with me. I was like, I don't know where this 3rd team is coming from.
I will say that I think Tampa is still gonna win like 83-ish, above 500 ball, which is gonna be around that second wild card. You have to expect.
They'll be playing meaningful games most likely in September. Yeah. I mean, we think they probably come up a little short, but yeah, that extra wild card is great.
Yep. So that will do it for the AL East. Again, if you enjoyed the content that we just provided, like it on YouTube, share with a friend, Spotify, like it, rate it, follow it, all that good stuff. All social media is here on the screen. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to follow us there. And we will see you on the next one with the NL East.
Can't wait.